"Where did you get a name like that?" my mother-in-law asked. "I don't know, some gentle, snowy name." The daughter-in-law shrugged her shoulders. "Well, let it be Snezana if you like it so much," the woman agreed. Now the family was full. Everyone was driving with the girl. Even the grandmother, who had been ill before, now got up and rocked the little girl. Andre continued to work, but Lisa never got a job. She stayed at home, watched the baby, and took care of her mother-in-law. Everything developed very quickly. Soon Andre had not just one store, but several. He was so promoted that he practically did not work himself, but only gave valuable instructions. The girl grew up. Her father and mother spared nothing for her and did everything to make her happy. Snezana went to a private kindergarten, which was here in the village. It was opened by a woman right in her house. There were only a few children there, so Lisa was not worried about her child. She never went to work. She took care of the house. When Snezana was 7 years old and was about to go to school, her grandmother became very ill. She was taken to the hospital. It was a shame that she did not go with them to the line. And Snezana was so beautiful in a new dress with flowers and bows. Lisa and Andre were very proud of their girl. They prophesied a bright future for her, but they spoiled her with their money. It finally became known by the end of school. The grandmother was never discharged from the hospital. Her blood pressure was so high, her heart gave out. "Look, our daughter again brought good marks." Lisa showed the diary to Andre. "Well, how could such parents could be born a bad daughter?" he said to his wife. They encouraged Snezana in everything. She did not know anything to refuse. Her selfishness began when she was in 5th grade. She had expensive things, which many guys could not afford, and simple t-shirts and jeans, and Snezana had them branded. The girl understood this and boasted about it. "Girls, come to my party tonight," she invited them. At that time, it became fashionable to invite friends to her house. "Who else is coming?" they asked. "Girls and boys from high school will come too." Snezana was proud of the fact that she was friends with those who were a few years older than her. The girls invite her, and the boys hated her because she was so arrogant that they couldn't even get close to her. In the evening, when they gathered, Snezana was the queen. She would sit and command that one bring her this, that the other, the other. If someone didn't fulfill something, she immediately stopped being friends with that person. So the girls and boys who wanted to get into the same company as Snezana did everything. She did not ask them. "Seryoga, do you want to kiss me?" she asked the boy who was 2 years older. He looked at her with incomprehensible eyes and did not know what to do. Come on," the others chanted amicably. He went up to Snezana and kissed her on the cheek, blushed, and immediately pulled away. "Phew, well, what are you like a little one?" she told him. Then the guy was completely embarrassed and ran away. After that, he did not go to their company because he was afraid that he would be laughed at. And in high school, something terrible started to happen. His parents didn't suspect a thing. When they got calls from the school or complaints from other adults, they denied everything. They said their daughter couldn't do such a thing. And Snezana, if she was not given money, could take it without asking her father or mother. After, call girls and boys who were favorable to her and buy something alcoholic in the store. Go with everyone, for example, under a bridge or to some abandoned house and sit there. She'd come home late, but nobody said anything to her. And when in the 10th grade in the house of Lisa and Andre, the call from the police rang, it was the first bell for parents, for them to question their beautiful daughter. She was riding in a car with some guys, and it overturned in the woods. That's what the parents were told. They immediately got in the car and drove to the hospital where their daughter was brought. Nothing terrible happened, a small concussion, but the doctor said that the girl was in strong alcohol intoxication. Plus, in addition to this, in her body found in illegal drugs. How could this happen? The father talked to Snezana in the morning. "Dad, I'm sorry." She sat there and didn't look him in the eyes. "We always thought that you were decent, that you would never allow such a thing." We let you do everything. My father couldn't hold back his anger. He raised his voice. What are you yelling at her? Lisa interjected. Are you still going to cover for her? He looked at his wife. What did she do? It was as if Lisa didn't realize that her daughter was wrong. I'm asking you, who were you with? Insisted to her father that she tell him everything. Dad, they were my acquaintances. Snezhana answered him. She was tired of listening to these lectures. She just wanted to go and sleep. But so that her father would not get even more furious, she sat and pretended to listen. You understand, your acquaintances are almost 10 years older than you. You are still in school. How can you behave like this? The man was indignant. Oh, leave me alone. Snezhana got up from the couch. It's disrespectful, her father shouted at her back. She only waved her hand and started to climb the stairs to her room. This situation did not teach Snezhana anything. She again and again got into some unpleasant situations. In the 11th grade, she began to be friends with a guy that was not distinguished by decency. So with him, she began to disappear from home for a day, 2 or even 3. Her mother covered her daughter all the time, and her father completely gave up on her upbringing. He realized that she could not be rehabilitated. Andrew, why do you behave so towards Snezhana? Asked him Lisa. If you want to deal with her and cover her, please. But I understand that with such behavior, nothing good will grow out of her. He told her the truth. And Lisa only cried. She believed that everything would be fine. Snezhana and Alexei were traveling by car, which he borrowed from an acquaintance. They were stopped by one of his comrades and asked to take them to a place. Sneza, are you with us or are you staying? Alexei asked her. Of course with you, she said. The friend gave the address where he had to go, and in 20 minutes they were already there. It was an autumn evening outside, so it got dark early. No sooner had they stopped the car than 3 uniformed officers flew up to them and pulled everyone out of the car. It turns out their friend was on his way to get some drugs that were being sold here. All 3 of them were taken to the precinct for identification. Can I make a phone call? Snezhana asked, but no one paid any attention to her. When the shift changed, a young lieutenant took the place of the one who had sat at the desk the evening before. Snezhana stared at him absently, and when he looked up at her, she immediately smiled. Hi, she said to him. Hi, the man replied. Can I call my parents? She asked. He slid the phone to her. Snezhana dialed home, and her father picked up the phone there. He listened to everything, and, as usual, came for her and explained everything. She was released, unlike her friends. And the very next day, that young lieutenant, whose name was Vladimir, came to their house. Wow, what a house you live in, he said to Snezhana, looking at the gate near which he stood. Why did you come here? She asked him. I just liked you and decided to get to know you better, he told her. Snezhana snorted. She did not want to socialize with people like him. But Lisa had already seen from the window that her daughter was standing with a young policeman. She went to the gate and invited them to tea. At first, there was silence at the table, but then everyone somehow talked. The girl saw that Vova, when talking to her mother, just melts from his words. Maybe I should leave you? She asked her. What are you saying? He came to you, her mother told her. Snezhana sat and listened to all this talk. Maybe we'll go to town and take a walk there, Vladimir asked her. Yes, Snezhana, go. Her mother already thought to herself that if she starts to be friends with a good young man, she will improve herself. Maybe we'll go to town and have a walk there. Snezhana mocked him. I'm not going anywhere with you. After these words, she got up and went to her room. Vladimir, you do not pay attention to her. She has a bad temper. Come to us tomorrow, and everything will be fine, said him calmly. Lisa escorted him to the door. He left, and Snezhana then told her mother half an evening that she was fawning before some brat. Daughter, you understand. It's a great choice. You'll soon finish school, go to study, and Vova will support you in everything, she told her. But Snezhana did not want to listen to anyone. When, the next day, she was on the street, and she saw Vladimir driving up to their house again. She sighed heavily but went up to him. "And what do you want here? Again came to talk to my mom," she said. "Why are you like this? I just want to get to know you better," he told her. "Okay, let's go." She got in the car with him. They drove to the city, and Vova invited her to a movie. The girl was in a bad mood. After that, they sat in the park for a while, and then the young man brought her home. "You're not even coming in?" asked Lisa, who was already waiting for them in the yard. "Why not, I will," he said. Snezana pressed her lips. She was just annoyed by her mother's behavior. She went off to her room again, and Lisa and Vladimir remained sitting at the table. "I understand Snezana is still in school," he asked Elizaveta. "Yes, but she has not much time left. Now she is finishing the 11th grade. Is she going to go somewhere?" Vladimir asked her. "She doesn't say anything on the subject. Maybe she will tell you," Lisa said sadly. "I liked your daughter." The guy confessed to the woman. "I can see that," she told him. In the evening, Lisa told everything to Andrei. He did not understand how such a girl could be like a normal guy. "Why do you say that about your daughter?" Elizabeth was still on Snezana's side. "What should I think about her? For several years now, she has been stealing money from me, spending it on unknown things, making suspicious friends, getting into the station, and I have to get her out." "And you will say that all this is good girl's behavior," Andrei was indignant. But Lisa didn't want to listen to him because it was true. When Vladimir came the next time, he told that Alexei, Snezana's friend, had not yet been released because he had several illegal activities behind him. "But if you agree to be my friend, I promise you that I will help your friend," Vladimir told her. Snezana had nothing to do but agree. Lesha was released, and she even went out with him a couple of times. But now, every evening Vova came to pick her up, and they drove to have a cultural vacation somewhere. Of course, there were breakdowns, and when the guy went on duty, then Smetana called a cab and immediately went to Alexei. Vova guessed about it but did not say anything to her because he did not want to lose her. When the girl graduated from the 11th grade, she told her parents that she would not go anywhere because she did not need it. "Snezana, how can it be?" Mom looked at her. "Why, Daddy's money is enough for everyone. I do not think he will refuse me, even though he does not communicate," she said naively. "How are things with Volodya?" asked Lisa. "Yes, fuck you together with your Volodya," the girl answered her. She still met with him, afraid that he could do something to Alexei. Once, when Snezana was not at home, Vladimir came to visit them. He needed to talk to Elizaveta. "Hello," he entered the house. "Oh, Volodya, good afternoon, and Snezana is not at home," the woman told him. "I'm not here to see her, but to see you," he looked at her. "To me?" Lisa was surprised. "Yes, I want to talk to you about your daughter." He did not want to hide anything and said everything directly. "Of course, come in." Lisa had many different versions in her head about what this young man would talk to her now. "Listen, Elizaveta Romanovna, I want Snezana to become my wife. I realize that she may not agree, so I wanted to talk to you first." Vladimir began the conversation. "You know, Snezana is such a difficult person. I don't even know who she will listen to." The woman began to speak quietly. "I promise you that I will take her in my hands, and she will become completely different," Vladimir said. "All right, I will talk to her, but I promise you nothing," Elizabeth told him. They finished their tea and said goodbye. In the evening, when Snezana came home, her mother sat her down beside her on the sofa and began to talk. "Mom, are you going to lecture me again?" Snezana asked her. Lisa heard that she smelled a little alcohol, but did not pay much attention to it. "Daughter, listen, today Vladimir came to see me," Lisa began. "You and your Vladimir again. I'm sick of him, and now you're going to tell me about him," Snezana told her. "Listen to me till the end, and then you will say what you think." The mother tried to keep herself in control. "Well, what did he say to you?" Snezana was ready to listen. "He wants you to be his wife. and he promised to do everything for you. Elizaveta lied a little. What wife? I'm 18 years old. I'm not going to get married yet. The girl furrowed her brow. Listen, Snezhana, sometimes you should think with your head, not follow your heart. Vladimir is an excellent candidate for a husband. He is already in office. His career will only grow, and you will be with him as a stone wall, said her mother carefully. Mom, are you sure you want to marry your only daughter to a man you don't love? Snezhana looked into her eyes. I'm sure, Lisa told her. Okay, I'll think about it. Snezhana got up and walked away from her. When Andrew returned home, Lisa, as usual, told him everything, and he supported his wife in this matter. In the morning at breakfast, he did not leave, as he always did, early to work, and decided to wait until his daughter woke up and talked to her. Wow, even father is present. Snezhana was surprised when she came down to breakfast. Daughter, listen, yesterday my mother told me everything. If you agree to marry Vladimir, I promise you a monthly allowance. Let's consider you as if you work for me. He knew that the girl would not refuse the money. And how much will you pay me? She asked. Believe me, enough. The father was ready to do anything to get his daughter somewhere. From that moment on, Snezhana began to treat Vladimir differently. She agreed to all his meetings and went with him to the movies, parks, and theaters. And when he made her an offer, she immediately agreed, which surprised the young man very much. Is this how your parents influenced you? He asked her. You should not care about that, Snezhana answered him. Andrew arranged for the young very chic wedding. When Lisa prepared her daughter's dress and everything else, she even cried once. And why are you crying? Asked her Andrew. Remember, we had no wedding. I did not even have a normal dress, she told him. Do you want me to make you a wedding? He said to his wife. Why are you like this? She looked at him. Okay, I'm sorry. It's just this whole situation is pissing me off. He went over and hugged his favorite woman. The wedding was very fancy. A lot of guests were invited, and a restaurant was rented. They partied till they dropped, especially the bride.